Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Smith, and inside this video we continue with gameplay for Threshold from Open Owl Studios. Now, as of the release of this video, you're also going to find on the same day Threshold launching on GameFound. If you want to follow along with the campaign, you'll find the campaign page link in the pinned comment and video description. Now, if you haven't checked out my prototype unboxing, which goes over not only all the visible components you can see here, but also the ones that aren't visible, that is definitely one to check out, as you can see everything that came as part of the prototype. And then check out the how to play as I take you through a first couple rounds of Threshold to show you exactly how the game flows and operates, and then come back here as we now go further into gameplay. As a refresher, at the tail end of the how to play video, we completed the quest known as Pie Delivery, and the second that we did, we were able to uncover a new quest, Home Invasion. And while we were inside of this landmark, Hearthstead, right here, we were also able to do a rest, go through all the steps of that, also get our card deck a little stronger for our character as we start to venture out right now. Things across the Heartland Prairies had certainly changed, as we can see a number of mobs of varying difficulty levels strewn across the entire region. We also have that main quest I talked about moments ago, Home Invasion, targeted very close to where we're at. So the question might be, do we want to do anything further in Hearthstead before we head out? We'll go ahead and take a look at the region book to see if there's anything we might want to do. We may want to head down to a mob here and actually go ahead and try and take it down, or we can actually focus on the quest up here. There's also a number of other areas to explore and mobs to go after. Now I'll give you a quick glance inside of the landmark we're currently in, because whenever you're in one, you can always check the region book to see what things you could potentially do here. As you'll remember from the how to play, I had the healer as the location I went and visited, and that cost me a card, and I was able to spend 5 coins and remove a wound, and that helped me out. But there's a number of other things we could do here, like going to the market, drawing common items. We could go to the blacksmith, discarding 2 common items of the same type and drawing uncommon cards. So if we start to gather more of the same type of cards, we can come back to the blacksmith and make use of that. There's also even more here if you have a lot more coins, which I don't currently have. I have 12, so some things are locked behind a little bit of a paywall, of course, within the game itself. And then, of course, you got these ones here. This is actually a really cool effect. You can actually go after what's known as an affix. This is going to be a transparent card that you can actually craft and place on top of one of your items, which are actually underneath this booklet here right now, so long as you have a slot open to do it. And then, of course, you can start to manipulate that, whether you want to go ahead and insert it into one, take it off, that kind of thing. And then you got other options here as well. We can even go to the Ugly Pumpkin Tavern. This only costs 5, so I could actually do it if I wanted to and get a cold, tasty beverage, but it would gain me 2 days, which are burdens, or cards from this row right here. And I don't really want that right now, but the one plus is I get a heroic effort. But I think for now, we'll go out and venture forth into the region. I'll actually hold off on doing anything here in this landmark. Now, as tempting as it is to head down here to this low difficulty mob and take it on, I think I might actually head towards the main quest, the Home Invasion. And I'll discard 1 card in order to get myself there. Now we'll do an engage action to go after the quest, Home Invasion. In order to do that, it costs a card as well, so I'll be discarding Strike. As you'll remember from the how to play, we know we have monsters to deal with here with this quest, the Home Invasion, and as you'll see in the top right hand corner, HP 02, we're headed to the encounter book. Here's a look at the combat board. We got E1 for the enemy, the Masked Imp, coming in 1, because I'm playing true solo, and then myself will come in at P1. Objective is at the end of any round, no enemies remaining, and this end of round effect here will not actually impact me in any way, because there has to be 2 or 4 characters in play for that to trigger. The Masked Imp is going to be coming in with 2 common loot dice if we take it down, and 1 mineral, which would be nice. We don't have any of those. You also see it's coming in with 10 health. It has 3 for its damage value. Its defensive value is 3 for every defense that it has. Currently it doesn't have any. And then its movement is 4. The combat deck for the Masked Imp is going to be using all 5 of the cards from the prototype and shuffling them all together. The combat board has been set up. We got 10 health here for the Masked Imp number 1, which has been placed properly, as well as my hero. Got the deck shuffled up and ready to go. We can also see what's going on the top of the card. It'll be doing some sort of movement or spreading, and it's going to do a melee attack. After performing the engage action, which we have done in order to set up the combat encounter here, we're going to draw our hand back up to 5. So I got dash and defensive stance to add to the 3 I have. So I think what I'll do is I'll spend my dash right now. This costs absolutely nothing discarded from hand in order to do it, and allow me to move up to 2 spaces, so we'll run towards it. I'm going to choose to discard this card, although I really like it, but it costs a lot to use right now, so I'll go ahead and discard this in order to generate 1 movement to get myself right adjacent. I'm going to play Empowered here to double my damage, and the next card that I use is an instant attack, which is going to be done right now. I'm going to be using a Strike card. This one here is going to dole out 3 damage, so it's now doing 6. The Empowered card is sent back to the Empowered stack, and we're going to go ahead and do 6 damage, dropping this thing down to 4. I'm going to choose to stop right there. I've got one defensive stance in my hand I'd love to be able to put on right now, but I don't have the card to pay for it, so I cannot use it. It's in my hand currently, but right now we go ahead and discard any of the instant cards which have the icon of the electric bolt up there in the top left-hand corner. They're gone, as well as anything in my hand, so this is also gone. All three of these end up discarded. I'm now going to go ahead and drop 5 cards from my hand. Let's see what we get. We got Guard, we have Second Wind, we have Martial Prowess, we have Swordplay, and finally, actually no, there's one more left. We have Guard. I think there's just one left. Now let's find out what kind of melee attack this enemy's doing at me, because you can see it from the back of the card. It says Advance Melee Attack. It says if there is a character in your zone, advance 3 toward the closest character. It's already adjacent to me, so it doesn't need to do that. Target each adjacent character, so that's going to be me, dealing 3 damage, as that's the value currently on this card down here for the enemy, which is just off screen, plus 2 damage, so a total of 5 coming through. As you can see, putting up the defensive stance would have been a good idea in this case, blocking up to 5 damage, but unfortunately that is coming through, dropping me from 6 to 1, very, very close to becoming unconscious. That's going to do it for the enemy's turn. Back to my character. Now I've got 1 card in hand that can do 2 damage, but that's not enough. It's got 4 remaining, so I need to get a little bit more. So I'm going to use Second Wind right now. This does not cost anything to do, and it'll allow me to go ahead and draw 1 right now. So we'll go ahead and place this down, and I got myself my other defensive stance. I could have also gone this route, as I have this card in hand, doesn't cost anything. It's called Martial Prowess, and allows me to play it to add a melee or shield card from the discard to my hand. So I can go after exactly which one I want. We'll play this in right now. It doesn't cost anything. So after drawing a brand new card in my hand, I now got a total of 5, plus I was able to go after a specific other melee card, which is great. So now I have Strike in hand, Defensive Stance, Guard, and Swordplay. So I'm going to go ahead and discard this Guard card in order to pay for Swordplay, and the play effect here says target each adjacent enemy and deal 2 damage. There's 2 more damage to take down the enemy. I'll go ahead and discard another Guard card from my hand in order to pay the 1 cost for a Strike. This is going to deal 3 damage, more than enough to take this thing down, dropping it to 0 and taking it out. And of course, I could have changed my strategy to be on the defensive side easily with the Guard cards I had in hand and the defensive stance if I didn't have enough attack to take it out. After the combat, I have 1 card left in hand, Defensive Stance, and I'm going to gain some rewards now. We got 2 common loot dice coming into the equation, so we'll place those next to our dashboard, and we're going to gain ourselves 1 mineral. And we now get to flip over the Home Invasion Quest card and find out what happens. As we can see on the back of the card, the Home Invasion Quest can be completed at Herstead, so we'll head there, and we'll also go back to the region board and flip over the quest marker to the checkmark side and move it to Herstead. That was also the first time we encountered and fought the Masked Imp, so we're going to take all of the tokens relating to that one and place it inside the bag. So we head back to the region board. We still have 1 card existing in our hand still, and we're going to go ahead and take the quest and update it to where it should be completed. With 1 card left in hand, I'm going to use it in order to travel by road back to Herstead so we can complete the quest. Now that we're back at that landmark, let's go ahead and resolve the quest. As the last smoke commander falls, a shadowy figure looms, gazing at you from multiple eyes and then fades away. Well done, Supreme Commander Senhao, leader of the Haven Watch, smiles broadly. We will have more need for heroes of your caliber. See Council members Monk and Bex. They will have tasks for you. We have conclusion steps here that state gain quest Bandit Menace and gain quest To the Prairies. So we got branching quests to check out in the future. You'll see the iconography we have to use to track the quest in the top right-hand corner. You'll also see the level we need to be in. We're currently at level number 1, so we need to get up to level 2. So we'll have to level up to be able to go after and complete these quests. And then we got some narrative here for each of them. I'll read them in just a moment as to where the quests reside. We're going to place these on the region board as well. And you'll see exactly what we need to do. We need to do an engage action to retrieve the stolen weapons here. And this one's a landmark action to talk to Robin. The Bandit quest says, the council leaders request an audience. Monsters aren't the only issue facing Haven, says Gilded Pact Counselor Monk. Bandits are a constant thorn in our side as well. Our armory was raided recently. The frustration is evident as they pace around. We believe the bandits retreated to a camp east of here. Find them and return our weapons. And on the right, excellent work vanquishing those monsters, commends Gilded Pact Chancellor Conus Monk. We will need more such heroics in the coming days, but the people need heroes as well. Go, experience the Heartland Prairies. Now in just a moment, I will definitely take the rewards for the Home Invasion quest completion. I've also taken the quest token off the region board, placed it here. It's going to be reused right away for the To the Prairies quest, and we'll have a brand new quest token we haven't seen yet popping in for the Bandit Menace. Now, as I pull it 2 quests away, I want to show you underneath. I'm using a divider here. This is an active quest divider that makes it really obvious that the quests that are on top are the active ones and the ones underneath are not. So go ahead and just place your cards into the slots and you'll be keeping track of all the quests that are active and easily not get things mixed up, especially with the one that's at the very top that actually would be in the same position as the rest that are currently disabled. The adventure one up here essentially is just a cover card that sits on top. Again, same premise. Now I move the quest down the row for a second so you can see the illustration for this quest, which is going to be sitting just to the right of where Herstead is. So it's actually going to have this one sitting here, whereas this one for In the Prairies will be here. Now let's gain our rewards here for the home invasion quest. It tells us to gain 2 common loot dice, which is awesome. We already have 2, so now we have a total of 4, which is great. We're gaining 4 coins and 10 XP. So our character now has 14 XP, 16 for gold, and we've got ourselves 4 loot dice. Now, something I want to point out about how I got back to Herstead. Remember at the very end of combat when I had 1 card left in hand and I discarded it in order to move along the road back in order to complete the quest? Well, instead of just using it to move, I could discard 1 card or all the cards in my hand left over in order to teleport back to this location. And the bonus in teleporting back to the landmark is that you're able to take a free rest action. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and say that I teleported back as there's no gameplay impact, and that has a bonus in that I get to do a free rest action. Now, it's pretty obvious why I'm doing this, and that's because my health is so low, and I want to be able to pump it back up to 6. Now, in another situation where, say, I came out of combat and I wasn't this damaged, let's say I was at full health at 6, and I had no reason that I wanted to go back, let's say, and rest or upgrade or do anything that a rest action provides, which is actually quite a bit, I could then instead just use a card to move back to the landmark, and once I'm there, I would then end the turn off at that point. You go to your end of round, so you'd roll the region die, you might get a new adventure. I don't currently even have one, so it'd be nice to get one, and they're typically good. So there's a good way to go with this. It's not a bad thing to go the way of the die and roll this. The other thing too to note is that if I happen to roll movement on the region die, the mobs will move around, but they will never move inside of a location that has this glitter around the landmark banner because it's protected by the guards of that landmark. So at the end of the day, strategy-wise, you get to choose which way you want to go based on how you're doing with your character. So for me personally, taking a free rest action makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to say that discarded card certainly got me teleported back to Herstead. We completed the quest as you saw, and we'll take that rest action right now. So first I discard all my cards from my hand. I don't currently have any anyway because I teleported here in the first place. I don't have any adventure cards to discard, so that's not happening. My health marker is definitely going back up to its maximum, which is going to be 6. Fatigue is going to reset, but it was already at 0. I've gone ahead and shuffled and replenished my deck, which is great. We're going to go ahead and grab the 4 loot dice now and make a big roll here and see what we get off these common loot dice. We didn't get a single up arrow, but we got a bunch of C's, so that's going to be common items, 3 of them, and 2 gold. The 3 common items I got off the top of the deck are Broken Shield. I have one already, but it's a different skill. Brutality versus the one I have here. Orb of Chance, Reflex, which is actually kind of cool because it's a weapon, and that actually ties itself to what I have here with Worn Leather. So if I wanted to double down on Reflex, I could go down that road. I can also just put these in my inventory underneath this dashboard. There's a tray to store all these items if I just want to keep them in my inventory. The values of them are in the bottom right-hand corner, so 4 and 5 respectively. This one here is at 7, and it's a jewel fragment. We have not talked about that yet. Now, jewel fragments tie themselves to affixes, which are up here, these clear cards, which you can then go ahead, once you've actually used the jewel fragments in order to craft these. These are transparent, and they will sit on top of the card and allow you to boost or buff up a specific card with one of these bonuses that, again, once it's actually used, will be flipped over and then can be refreshed in various ways throughout gameplay. So, for example, the one that's currently on the very top of the deck right now is a Draw 1, which would be very useful. I'm going to place my cards below the dashboard so I can easily get back to them when I need to, but during gameplay you might be out away from a landmark for a long extended period of time, and no, you're not going to plan on selling anything anytime soon, so you can stash cards and other resources inside the bottom portion of your dashboard. And it's worth mentioning that the final version of the game will have a great fit in terms of the top dashboard portion fitting into the tray below, including the dials. All right, let's spend some of that XP we gained. We got 14. Let's go ahead and spend 10 to go to level 2. And you can also see that the levels will start to increase in terms of how much XP is needed in order to go to the next level. And currently we do not gain anything in terms of a maximum increase, but the next time we get to another level, which will be 3, we're going to get a bump up in our maximum health. I'm going to spend 1 CP right now to add another dash into my deck. It's worth mentioning you do not have to spend your CP that you gain from your level up, and if you want to know how much CP you have in total, it's equal to your level. But as I mentioned in my how to play, bolstering your deck is always a good idea, as that will ensure your fatigue is not occurring as often. Class points are done. Skill points, no change, as I didn't change out any equipment here, so nothing structurally that way has changed. Didn't gain anything as well or lose anything, so I'll keep everything that way the same. We're going to go ahead into landmark actions. We're going to drop 5 cards. The 5 cards I got off the top of the deck are Guard, Defensive Stance, Dash, and Second Wind. Now inside the city here, we got a number of things we can do. As we saw prior, Vocation Square allows us to spend 10 in order to purchase 1 mineral or 1 supply. That can really be beneficial in pushing us up to be able to pull off things like this here at the blacksmith, or even get up to this, which of course would need a lot more minerals and a lot more supplies to make that one happen. But this is more obtainable. This one here is interesting, spending 2 supplies, 5 gold, and discarding 2 of the jewel fragments. We only have 1 jewel fragment. Once we get 1 more, we can then go ahead and create that clear translucent card I was talking about before to be able to add it to one of our items. Now, if I wanted to sell any of these things, I'd be selling them at half their value rounded down. So this would be, I'd be getting 2 for that, I'd be getting 2 for this, and I don't want to sell the jewel fragment. I'm holding on to that for sure. So I could get 4 from this, and with what I have down below, which is 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 4, I got 22. Unfortunately, I need 25 to be able to pull off going ahead and picking up 1 more mineral. And with the mineral I already have, I could then spend 15, because it'd be 10, then 15 would be 25, to discard 2 common items of the same type, whether it's armor, weapon, or accessory, and then draw uncommon cards until you draw the same type. That could be beneficial. I just need a little bit more on the coin side of things. For now, I'm going to skip past any landmark actions, and let's head back to the region board here and decide where we want to go. We've got 2 primary options here, to the Prairies and Bandit Menace. So either here or here, respectively. I'm thinking of going to Heart's Landing and talking to Robin. Unfortunately, this is off the beaten path, so I'll be discarding 2 cards to make it happen. The people of Heart's Landing derive part of their identity from a resilience upon one another and part from separating themselves from the community of Harstead. Heart's Landing residents are generally uninterested in adhering to the habits of typical society. Instead, they gather resources from the wild, reuse and repurpose the refuse discarded by Harstead, and even resort to robbery when the need arises. The people of Heart's Landing live by a unique code, however. In general, they only prey upon the most prosperous Heartlanders. Now, in order to talk to Robin, we had to discard a card from hand, so I discarded Defensive Stance. I only have 2 left, Second Wind and Dash, and we're going to go ahead and make a challenge on persuading Robin. So a 3 to 6 is what we need, and a Spirit will allow us to plus our result by 1. Let's go ahead and draw the top card off and see what we get. Dodge it is, and it shows a 3, actually, in the bottom right-hand corner, which is perfect. So we can stop right there and not go any further, and we can resolve the success criteria. We have simple needs, money, and we've got word of a juicy stash that only we know about. Problem is, the landscape's crawling with uglies. If you care to help us, we'll make it worth your while. Choice A is to seek out the stash. Choice B is to leave the Heart's Landing crew to their own business. Now, honestly, I'd probably go after the stash normally, but I want to try something different this time. Let's leave Heart's Landing crew to their own business. So outcome B tells us to add adventure AH42, familiar bandits, and then gain a specific memory 08B. I've got the adventure deck right here. We'll simply add this familiar bandits card into it and shuffle it up. So after that decision with Robin, we're placing a memory in 08B, making sure the B side is face up. And we completed talking to Robin, so we can flip this over and find it where we can complete it, and it's going to be at Harstead. So we'll go ahead and update the marker on the dashboard. Now before I go ahead and teleport, which I plan to do, let's see if there's anything else interesting to do here at Heart's Landing. Now you'll see some of these are restricted by memories you have to have. So 08A, we don't have that. We have 08B, so we're never going to be able to go in there and recruit him based on us dismissing him. But the higher here for the Heart's Landing crew, we could go after this if we have 02A. We do not. The only other thing we could do is spend 2 cards, which I actually have right now in order to do a challenge of climbing. And you can see there's some things we can gain potentially from doing this. Let's go ahead and risk it and see if we get something beneficial out of it. So first off, it says we're going to climb. We're going to be drawing cards, and depending on how high we go up in value, we are getting better and better things. A 6 is 1 XP. A 7 is gaining 3 coins. 8 is going to give us 1 of those minerals. And then 9, you read a secret, which sounds cool. But if you get to 10 plus, you're going to gain 2 dazed into, well, it'd be split. 1 into your discard, 1 into your deck. And these are burdens. So that's not a good thing. So let's go ahead and exert ourselves and see whether it's worth it. So we'll go ahead and draw the top card off here. We got a 4. We're on our way here. And of course, we get body as a keyword. We can plus or minus 1. So here we go with this. This is going to be a 6 at this point. So right now we can gain 1 XP. Not that exciting. Let's continue pushing one more time and see if we can get to the... I really want to get the reading of a secret. That'd be awesome. We got it. We got it. We got it. We 4, 3, and a 2, so we have a total of 9 right there, and we actually got body, so we have some wiggle room here. We wouldn't want to push it up by 1 and go to a fail, but we could go down if we wanted to go after the other mineral. I believe that is underneath the secret, but I want to know the secret, so let's check it out. Now, secret number 7 has 3 paths. It could be that you have no memory 1 position currently filled, and if you did have it filled with A or B, there is different paths for both. I don't have it filled, so I'm reading the very first paragraph, and it says, one does not expect to find a lean-to shelter at the top of a mountain with a solitary figure making a stew underneath. The cook waves you over as though they had been expecting you. Hello, my name is Bernard. I've just made some visitor stew for you. It's a vegetarian dish with local roots, barley, and lots of beef chunks for my dog. He loves the beef chunks. Please help yourself. Before you can question any of it, he pushes the bowl of stew into your hands and sits down with you. Now over yonder you can see the terraces. Despite straining your eyes, you cannot. I have hidden something special there within a chest, something my dog desperately needs. As is customary for a guest, once you have accepted a stranger's meal on a mountaintop, you are indebted to undergo a grueling test and retrieve the special item within that chest. Good luck. Bernard pats you on the shoulder and walks away, leaving you alone in the shelter. A dog is nowhere to be seen. It now tells us to fill in memory 01A. All right, so Bernard needs something inside of that chest for his dog desperately, so we're going to try and get that done. We have the memory attached, so I imagine as we explore further and further in the game, we potentially will run into something that will trigger that memory and tie things together. Now at this moment, because I chose to stick around at Heart's Landing, I have no cards left, so I cannot teleport back to Herstead to complete the quest as I chose to be greedy and stay in Heart's Landing. So at this point, we're not going to go to the end of the round. So we're going to grab the region die, make a roll, and see what occurs. Now this icon on the region die we have not seen yet. We've seen the leaf icon, which represents drawing of an adventure card. Blank side obviously means nothing happens, but this is mob movement, value 1. Now I haven't touched on mobs very much so far, but now's a great time to do it. So you can see a number of mobs. There's 5 of them out there, various difficulty levels, and they're indicated by the pips that are just underneath each of the mob icons. This one is 2 away from me, and with the mob movement icon being 1, it is going to move the nearest mob 1 closer to me. It's important to note that mobs will never move into a safe landmark, which are usually towns or cities protected by guards, and you know exactly which ones these are based on the banners. They'll have a sparkle around the outside edges of the banner. So for example, Herstead is absolutely protected. If I move this quest token up, you can see the sparkle pattern around the outside edges of the banner. That means that they're protected by guards and the mobs will not just walk in there. But it could absolutely walk into Heart's Landing. If it had had 2 movement on the die, if it had rolled this result right here, it would have had enough to go from here to here and then up to here coming right in. But it wouldn't have actually commenced any kind of combat unless there was enough value on the die to spend 1 more. So in other words, it would have had to have been in this space with a roll of 2 to be able to move into the same space as me and then begin a combat. And these are known as random encounters, and they'll use the drawbag that you see me place enemy tokens in as we've encountered them over the course of the game so far. But for the time being, there is nothing to worry about. Also, technically, before I rolled the region die, I draw 5 cards up into my hand, no major gameplay impact there. However, as I resolve it, I'm drawing out 4 cards from the deck, and I don't have enough to draw up the 5th, so we're going to be taking a fatigue in order to replenish the deck. And the last card drawn was Dash, and now we can go ahead with our character turn. I'm going to choose not to go back to Herstead right away and cash in the quest. Instead, I'm going to actually use my hand of cards to skirt right past it. We're not going to stop there. We're going to go 2 to go into here and 2 to go into here as there's no road connecting. That's going to burn 4 of my cards, and I'll use the last card in order to interact with the quest that is here, which is an engage. So we're going to hop right into the Bandit Menace. So I'll just go ahead and grab the card from the back here, and you'll see we're going to go ahead and find out what we're doing, which is going to show at the top here, HP 10. Now in this battle, we're going to have two enemies to go up against. It'll be two thieves. We'll have an enemy here and an enemy here. We're coming in the top left-hand corner, and there is an objective here to defeat all the enemies, but there's a special objective token for the first time, the bandit camp, which will be placed right here. It says home field advantage after an enemy ends their turn in the zone with the bandit camp. They gain a block counter. We have not seen this yet, but that is going to be annoying as they're going to beef up their defenses, making them tougher to take down. Now, we've seen these thieves before, but not two of them at once, so this should be interesting to see how we deal with these guys. Also, I took the two tokens that represent standee 1 and 2 out of the draw bag. They're all in there, and they're normally pulled out for random encounters, but I'm using them to represent their health, as that's the norm. Once we're done with this combat, they'll just go right back in the bag. No impact to that draw bag whatsoever. Nothing new going in, as we've dealt with them before. Bandit camp, we want to keep them out of this space, as they'll bump up their defense, as I mentioned. So we're going to be trying to get up close and personal with them, probably going around this side to try and deal with them and keep them from dealing. If I was to go up this way, I'd be basically asking for it. Now they've got 4 cards going in rather than the 5 we saw for the masked imp. They're going to have cards 1A all the way through 4A. And I've also shuffled their deck. It is ready to go right here, and we'll be tracking each of them on individual rows here in case they happen to get one of the defensive shields from the bandit camp, which I'm hoping not to have happen. They've got 8 health, as we know from the markers, 2 for the damage value, 2 for defensive value if they happen to start getting those shields, and a movement of 1. And going into combat, we also get to draw up our 5 cards as well. So we're going to go ahead and find out what we get. We got Martial Prowess. I love that card. I love seeing that. Dodge is great as well to avoid damage. Guard is also good. I actually want to see some offense here. We're getting lots of defense in this pull. A ton of defense. Always check out the enemy deck to get an idea as to what's going to be coming at you. So we got movement going on. There's a melee attack involved and potential changes to the block value, which we're going to have to keep an eye on. If they're going to come after me, I think it makes more sense for me to sit still and just beef up my defenses, let them come at me, and get ready for attack cards in the future, as I got a lot of defense here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use my dodge card here. This is going to cost me 2. It's rather expensive, but this might be the right time to do it, to let them basically burn their movement to get close to me rather than me burning all my cards to move close to them. So we'll go ahead and play defensively here. This is going to cost me 2. So let's go ahead and get rid of Second Wind and Martial Prowess. Now Martial Prowess is actually a really good card. I should probably hold on to that one. Maybe what we'll do instead is we're going to... this is tough. Yeah, we'll get rid of Guard, and we're going to get rid... Oh, that's actually tough too. I want another block. I want 2 blocks. Dodge is going to allow me to block all of the damage from 1 attack, but I'm going to need another one in there as well because I'm going to get hit twice. So if I want to be smart here, let's go ahead and put defensive stance down maybe, or guard. Which one's better? This one blocks 5. So I think I'll go with defensive stance. It'll cost me 1. I'll use my guard because at this point I don't really have a use for it. It'll be discarded. I'm going to have to discard the other 2 now. So really at the end of the day, I have nothing left, but I am playing very defensively here. So I'm paying 3, discarding those 3 cards to get these 2 in play. They both have the hourglass, so they're going to stay in play. So I did nothing to them. They're going to be advancing, doing a melee attack, and then trying to block. So an advance 2 towards the closest character. They're going to target each adjacent character, dealing damage, their damage being 2 plus 2. If they lose health, they lose gold equal to the damage value, which would be 2. Then they gain a block. All right, so first off, they're going to move 2 towards me. In this case, this enemy actually has 2 paths to go in order to get close to me, and it's going to be moving in a way to get close to me in the shortest path possible. So because there's 2 different ways to go, we take a look at the actual card itself for the thief to see how we break the tie, but in this case, it won't matter because I'm playing true solo. There's only one option here, so going after the most health does not help. So in this case, I get to choose which way this enemy is going to go, so I'll have it go the long way around this way, keeping it as far away from the bandit camp as possible. The other thief is going to move 2 spaces past the bandit camp as it's trying to take the shortest route to get to me. Again, I am super happy I didn't even move an inch because of this. I don't take any attacks whatsoever because it will only target adjacent characters dealing damage. So that middle portion will not happen. They're not messing with my goal, which is great, but they are gaining a block. So each of them are going to become a little bit more annoying to take down. They now have a block value of 2 on each of them. Also, at the end of my turn, I was supposed to draw up to 5, but I got right into the enemy's turn. No gameplay impact, though. We're going to go ahead and just drop 3 cards at this point, and I have to replenish, again, due to the fact that my deck is not at full, so we're going to be taking another hit of fatigue here. And I ended up with Dash and Swordplay. That wraps up a round. We're going into a brand new round, and as you'll see, defensive stance here has a start of turn effect that says return this card to your hand. So we're going to actually get this card back, and this dodge card actually sits out here still. Now on the back of the enemy card, we have an icon for a medium ranged attack as well as some movement. Now strategy-wise, I was kind of hoping they'd be doing a melee attack so I could go up to them, hit them a bunch of times, and then run away as fast as possible. But with a medium-ranged attack against me, it's going to make it hard to get away, even if I burnt all of my cards trying to move or dash away. I'm not going to be able to get far enough away from a medium-ranged attack from them where they're situated. So we're going to have to do a little balancing of defense and offense. First, we're going to use a free instant card here to dash for 2. So we'll go ahead and get ourselves into a decent position. Next, I'm going to use a sword play card. I'm going to pay for it using this sword play card. And as it states on it as a response, if this card pays for a melee card, first resolve this card's play effect. So I get the 2 damage when I discard this to pay for this one. That allows me to do another 2 damage. And as we know, they have 2 defense on them, so it gets rid of their shield, but the other 2 gets through. So the 2 shields have been removed from standee number 1, which is awesome. And then the other 2 damage will go through to drop it down to 6. Now I got 3 cards left in hand. I have Strike, Guard, and Defensive Stance. So the question is, do I need more defense when I already have a dodge card sitting here waiting to be used, or do I need to just push for more attack? So here's the thing, knowing that they're doing a medium ranged attack here, and they're both going to be sharing the same card when it comes out to be resolved, what you want to do strategically is think about the fact that medium ranged attacks are going to go after individuals that are non-adjacent individuals in the same area or an adjacent area. So in other words, this one here, because I'm right beside it, will not be able to pull off a medium range attack, but this one will. So I only need 1 block. So the dodge I have is going to be enough to deal with the one that should come through. Again, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with this card, but I have a rough idea. So I could go ahead and lean into my strike right now rather than a guard card, for instance, or a defensive stance. So I'm going to try it. We'll see if it works out. Can't say it's going to be guaranteed, but we'll give it a shot. So we'll go ahead and discard this card here, a guard card, in order to pay to play a strike for 3. And being that there's no defense on this enemy, it's going to go straight through. So it's going to drop it from 6 down to 3. At this point, my turn is done. I cannot play anything else. I have 1 card left in hand. It gets discarded along with any other instant cards that were played. Now the card is called Running Shot, so hopefully the running's happening after and not before based on the iconography, but we will see how this goes. It says Running Shot, medium ranged attack. Yes, I was correct. I think target a non-adjacent character in your zone or an adjacent zone and deal damage, which would be 2 + 1, so 3, nasty, and then afterwards retreat 2 away from the closest character. So we'll start with number 1, who's going to go ahead and target a non-adjacent character in our zone or an adjacent zone. There is nobody, so it's going to retreat. It's going to head back up 2 spaces trying to get further away. Now, technically, it could retreat in multiple different paths, so I could also have it retreating this way as well. And it really is up to me as to how I want to move it. I probably will move it down that way. Now this individual can definitely make an attack against me from range. It's going to do it for 2 damage + 1, but I'm going to use my dodge card as a response. It states right on it here, when you are attacked, block all the damage and then discard this card. So it's now into my discard pile, but I don't take any damage, which is great news. It's going to then go ahead and retreat 2 away. I'm taking the word away very literal. And the reason for that is, in this case, I believe it would head right here and it would buff up its defense, which is unfortunate, because it's already got 1 on its slider. It's going up to the 2nd position, which means it has a total of 4 defense, which is nasty. And it won't stop there. It'll continue with the other space going this way. So they're getting further and further away from me. I've also drawn up my next hand of cards, so I'll show you what I have, and you'll see down here for standee number 2, lots of defense, whereas 1 doesn't have any, so I definitely want to wipe 1 off the map as fast as possible. Here are the 5 cards off the top of the deck, and I still have cards in the deck to go. Guard, Martial Prowess, Strike, Dash, and Defensive Stance. Now I'll tell you right now, on the enemy card over here, it's another medium ranged attack, so let's go ahead and get up close and personal with the one that ran away that's closest to us and try and take it out. So we're moving 2. The last thing I need is it gaining any kind of defense, so let's get up close and personal with it and take it down. I'm going to go ahead and spend a guard card in order to pay for a strike for 3 damage. And that is all I need to take out that very first thief. All right, so 1 thief down, 1 to go, and I definitely want to get some defenses up because I know a shot is coming my way. So let's go ahead and discard Martial Prowess here. This card here will allow me to pay for this defensive stance card, which is fantastic. That's going to end off my character turn. Let's discard any instant cards, so dash and strike will go, defensive stance stays, and at this point we drop 5 cards from here. We only got 1 in hand, so I'll show you what it is. We're going to have to reshuffle everything else, and we got second wind. My deck has been restored, and we're bumping up our fatigue one more time. We're going up to 3 now. Let's go ahead and drop our cards. We got ourselves guard, we got ourselves strike, we got a dodge, and we got dash. Now I just realized I goofed up big time as the enemy's making this ranged attack against me, targeting each non-adjacent character that is in your zone or an adjacent zone, dealing 2 damage. Now 2 damage is not a ton, but I thought my defensive stance would work in this situation. It does not. The response says if you or an ally are attacked by an enemy adjacent to you, block 5 damage, then discard this card. This is literally an adjacent character. We are not currently adjacent, and so because of that, unfortunately, I cannot block it, and I'd have to have used guard instead. It would have been a better choice. This one says when you or an ally in your zone is attacked, block 4 damage, then discard the card. Again, would have had to apply to the right situation anyway, so either of them are actually not great in this situation. So I'm definitely taking the 2 damage. That's going to knock me from 6 down to 4. That is 1 away from being on top of my fatigue. All right, so as you can see here, the enemy's going to be aiming to guard as we go into the start of my next turn. This card goes back into my hand as it states as a start of turn effect. So let's see what we got here. We've got ourselves 6 cards in hand. Now, what can I do for damage? I've got myself a ton of defense. I got 1 strike, which is not all that great. I do have a second wind card that would allow me to draw. So let's go ahead and push to see if we can get a little bit more out of our hand. I don't know if this is a wise choice or not, but let's go ahead and do it anyway. So we're going to play this to draw 1 out of the hand, and we got ourselves dash. Okay, well, that'll get some movement going. I'm going to go ahead and play dash as I'm not afraid of any attacks from the enemy based on its card right now. So moving 2 gets me right beside it. And I do have a strike card, so I'll probably go ahead and use that now. And I'll pay for it with a dash card. So we'll discard my other dash card I have in my hand here in order to pay for a strike of 3. Now here's the thing. The beauty of this is by doing 3 damage to an enemy that has 4 defense. And I'll show you the actual dashboard for the enemy right now. The enemy's in the second position of its defense, so for every one of these positions, it has 2 defense. So when I hit it for 3, it's going to hit 2 away, and then I still have another 1 coming through. The enemy has to use all of what it has here, even if it can block up to 2. So I actually get rid of all of it in a situation where I hit it for 3. It doesn't stick around until the 4th one is used. It is gone at this point. So I've cleared out the armor, which is nice, but we do know the armor's coming back, or something's coming back with the armor in the near future, which is not good. I don't have much going on for any more attacks, which is really unfortunate. So I chinked away all the armor, but I can't actually put damage on them. But in order to be smart for myself, let's go ahead and pay for the dodge. I'll discard both these cards here in order to get this dodge card in play so that we have something that can block all damage in the future. I'll then go ahead and discard all the cards that are instants, and we're going to draw up to 5. Do I actually have enough to get 5 out of this deck? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, with 1 left over, let's see what we get here. So we have a strike. I like that. We got sword play. We have defensive stance. We have sword play yet again and martial prowess. So we might be able to pull with martial prowess another strike out here, but that's a lot of attacks in there. So it might work out pretty decent. And of course, the enemy has other plans, gaining 2 block. Absolutely brutal. It got all of its defenses right back to where it was before. Now the good news for us is we have a dodge card already waiting, which is great news, knowing that an attack is coming towards us in its melee. We're right next to the enemy anyway. This could work out nicely, so let's see what we can do. So let's go ahead and use martial prowess. Well, do I want to use martial prowess? Do I need to? I need to pay for that strike. I guess I could pull another one in. Well, I have to pay for the strike that I have in order to chink away the armor again. So we're going to go ahead and discard this card here in order to pay for what you saw moments ago. I got a strike card in hand here. We're doing a similar thing here, chinking away all the armor that got brought back up. So now it has no defense whatsoever, which is great. I've got 3 cards left. I do have 2 sword play in hand, so we can do that combination attack again, which I love. So basically using the first sword play in order to, as it responds, get the 2 damage off it because I'm paying for the other sword play, which then does another 2 damage. So in the end, it's 4 damage getting through. So 1 going in the discard, 1 being played. And with no armor to block, it's going to take its health down to 4, which is great. Now I've got Martial Prowess in my hand. I think it makes sense right now to discard this card in order, it's again a free one to do. I can go ahead and pull one of those swordplay cards back up, and then I can hope when I draw 5 and I have to reshuffle my deck that I get the other one. So let's go ahead and discard this one right now. We're going to take the swordplay card and we're going to add it back into our hand because this does actually come in as a melee card, which is exactly what that card called for. So that's good news, and that's going to do it. We're going to stop right there. Now I only have one card in my deck, so I'm pulling that up, and it's a guard card. Now I have to go ahead and discard all my instants. So the swordplay that's currently up here that I actually use underneath the combat board is going into my discard pile. I'm shuffling it up, and then we're going to draw 3 cards. Now I'm hoping this works out because if I get the 2 sword plays back to back again, I can get another 4 damage to take this thing out. If I get a strike, it's only 3 damage, so it's not as effective as the 2 swordplay cards, which I really like. That combination is very cool. So let's go ahead and shuffle these up. Now there's lots of cards in my deck, so the chance of actually this working out is pretty slim. So we're going to go have off the top of the deck here. What do we have? Second Wind. Actually, we can allow a draw from that. We have a strike, and lastly a dash. The good news is we're holding on, so let's see how things go off the top of the deck here and see what the enemy's going to throw at us. It is going to be this one, advancing 2. It's already close to me, doesn't need to do that. Targeting each adjacent character, dealing. It's going to be 2 plus 2 is 4. And if they lose health, they're going to lose gold equal to the damage value of 2. It's not going to happen because I'm going to go ahead right now and discard this card to avoid anything, but it is going to gain a block again. This thief does not want to die. So how do I make use of this to get the best bang for buck? This is absolutely brutal. So I'm going to go for this Second Wind here. I'm going to play this card right now, hoping I can draw a card that ends up being what I want. So let's go ahead and discard this. Now, technically, it would go up here. It's an instant, and it's a play effect for draw 1. Let's see what we get. We got Martial Prowess. So technically, worse. I only have dodge in there. It's not going to really help me out, and I can't even take it with this Martial Prowess. So that's going to turn into a card I can discard to pay for something. But here's the thing. I've got a sword play in hand that can do 2 damage by itself. I got a strike that can do 3 damage. So in any case, I cannot kill this enemy this round based on what I have in hand, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to have to hold myself around for another round. So how are we going to do this? Well, we want to just deal with the 2 damage we have right here to get rid of the shields. Or I should say we want to do 2 attack to get rid of the 2 that comes from that 1 block. So let's go ahead and I want to hold on to guard. I've learned that guard is good when we're this close to him. So I'm going to use Martial Prowess, I think I'll discard in order to put Swordplay in, which is going to do 2 target damage, which will just get rid of the defense. That will allow me to go ahead now and do a strike. But here's the kicker. If I go ahead and do this, I don't have any defense up. So I chinked away his armor, but if I do this strike, you know what? I need to do this in the reverse order. I'm going to hold on to Swordplay. Let's be smart about this. Instead of playing that one, I'm going to play Strike instead, which does the exact same thing. Chinks away the armor. It's a 3 for the 2 defense value. But it'll hold on to my Swordplay in case the other one comes through my deck in the future. I'll be ready to kind of combo them together. And instead, I'll go ahead and discard this Dash right now in order to pay for Guard to keep my defenses up. And then we're going to go, well, I guess it doesn't matter because actually you have to discard any cards you have in your hand at the end of your turn. So even if I want to hold on to this, I have to discard it, which is really unfortunate. All right, so those instant cards are gone. My guard card is here. Let's go ahead and drop our cards so we see what we have going. Oh my gosh, there's a Swordplay one right there. There's guard, we've got defensive stance, we have dash, and we have defensive stance. Okay, let's see what the enemy is doing. It's going to be a medium-ranged attack. Target non-adjacent. See, this is perfect because I got myself up close to him, which I actually knew was going to happen based on it being medium range. No damage coming towards me whatsoever, but I do get to keep this extra card, which now turns into a card I can actually, well, this is it's actually unfortunate. The guard card at the start of my turn, which is right now, you discard this card. So unlike the defensive stance card that comes back into your hand and gives you essentially more currency to work with, this one actually gets discarded, which is really sad. And what's actually quite funny about this is the fact that I only have 1 attack card in hand, and this would have been my opportunity to pummel it into the ground. And I unfortunately just don't have the cards to do it, but I do have 1 Swordplay, so I can take advantage of that, I guess. So we'll go ahead and do a swipe of 2 against it, dropping it down by 2. I have to pay for the card, of course. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of one of my defensive, well, that's the thing. I could get rid of one of my, well, the dash card's kind of useless at this point in time. I want to keep myself up close and personal, so I'll get rid of that one. Now I need the defensive stance in this case. This is going to block damage coming at me from close by. In worst case, again, because this thing's going to be bulking up its block, it's not going to use this, which will just come back to my hand as, again, currency in the future. So I'm kind of paying forward a little bit. So I'm going to discard this guard card to pay for defensive stance, and then this defensive stance essentially gets discarded. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the sword play here as we've used it. We're going to draw back up, but unfortunately at this point in time, I only have one. So we have to reshuffle the deck, and we take a fatigue, unfortunately. So as my fatigue reached my current health, we are going to take a wound and reset our health back to maximum. So this is going to jump back to 6, but the fatigue stays right there. We're going to take a random wound card now from the wound deck, shuffling it into our deck, and before we draw the final 4 cards for our hand. So you can clearly see the longer this battle goes on, the more tired I get, which results in more wounds going into my deck, which is not a good thing. Let's go ahead and see what we get here. So dodge, we have, oh, there it is, a scarred card. That's not good. We'll talk about that in a second. Guard, and we have dash. Now, something I just noticed is the fact my wound count in my deck is currently at 1. This actually was at 0, and what happened was earlier in the video when I had the region book sitting here, it bumped it over to 1, which is actually kind of funny. So it's been sitting there for quite some time. You guys are probably wondering why it changed in the first place. It was accidental, but at this point, with a wound in my deck, when I took it, I would absolutely have bumped it up by 1. Now, wounds can be played just like any other card. They go through the deck, they can be discarded to pay for other cards, and you will see them crop up in your hand from time to time, no issues. But once you go over your maximum for your wounds, and right now I've got 1 wound in my deck, and my maximum is 1 as of right now, based on my character pad. And so because of this, if I go to 2, that's going to make me go unconscious, and that's something I don't want to have happen. We unfortunately know exactly what's going to happen here. This individual's gaining 2 block. At the start of my turn, I also get the defensive stance card that was sitting right here back into my hand. So I've got a number of things here. So let's go ahead and pay for my dodge. I want to get this back out to basically not have any more hits come through for a bit. So we'll go ahead and pay it with Scarred and Dash. So these are going to go right here, discarded. And then I'm going to go ahead with a strike, which is typical here. We're going to discard this to do a strike, which is 3 damage. Blocked for 2, and then blocked for 2 gets rid of this block token, and then we'll go ahead and discard this card as I can't use it. I don't have enough to pay for it anyway. Instance will go away. The dodge will stick around, which is good, and we're going to go ahead and draw up. We've got a window here to hit it, so hopefully we can make it happen. Oh yeah, we're starting to see the offensive cards coming through a little bit more now, so maybe we... Oh yes, definitely. The enemy's going to try and target me, but cannot whatsoever, but it's going to try and retreat 2 away from the closest character. He's run away 2 spaces, he's only got 2 health left, and his deck has been reshuffled. Looks like a medium range attack will be coming up next, but we're not going to let that happen. We're going to dive right into our turn here and see if we can take him down. So do I have a dash in my hand? I don't think I do. So I'm going to have to run up to him and just hit him, but it's not going to matter. 1 strike will do it, to be honest. So let's just go ahead and discard a guard here. We're not going to be able to efficiently move as I don't have a dash, so I'll discard basically a guard card and a defensive stance. So that'll get me 2 here. And then once we're right beside him, we're going to go ahead and just hit him with a strike. And that's going to be 3. We'll discard the sword play to do the strike of 3. There's no defense. And finally, that second one falls. That was difficult. We managed to deal with the Bandit Menace, and from the rewards section of the card, you'll see we're gaining 2 common loot dice. We're getting 1 supply and 2 gold. All right, that's all been gained in my inventory. So now we have 2 supply, 1 mineral. We have 20 gold, which is awesome, and 2 loot dice to roll in the future. Let's check out the quest card. We'll flip it over to see where we're resolving and completing this quest. It'll also be at Herstead. This works out perfectly as we have another one to complete there. So this token is going to flip over and head back here. Let's not wait around. We'll teleport right now, discarding all cards in hand. I only have 1 in order to go back to Herstead. So we'll head right back. We have 2 quests to cash in. This one says, the people love our new heroes, Supreme Commander Senhal beams. I see potential recruits here. Grand Magus Bex presents a suggestion. Have you visited our field offices in Clovershire, Bayford, and Greendale yet? Go and see for yourself which one is the right fit. Conclusion steps tell us to gain quest region renown, gain memory 14A, and visit Clovershire, Bayford, and Greendale. I believe there's a mention of a correction around this in the prototype. I'll talk to it in just a second, but as of right now, let's get these completed and then we'll go to the next quest resolve. I've also got 2 common loot dice coming to me, 6 gold and 7 XP. So now I got 4 common loot dice up here. I've got a total of 26 coins, and our XP went from 4 to 11. Also, memory 14A is being filled in. And the correction I was referring to for the prototype is in the final version. It'll be more specific. It wants you to take landmark actions to explore further into the story at Bayford, Clovershire, and Greendale. At those locations, when you visit them as a landmark action, you'll find more quests that you can dig into. And speaking of quests, we've unlocked Region Renowned. This is a landmark quest, and you'll see a level 2 requirement and narrative text below, as well as where we're placing the specific icon token for this quest. And it gets one of the side quest tokens E, which is inside of Bayfort. Now let's resolve the bandit menace. It says the last bandit had not died well, but with their last words, they confirmed that you were too late. The weapons belong to the People's Army now. However, a crude map in her pack has an X on the island to the south. The conclusion says gain quest maps end. So that last individual we took out was actually a she, and she was very difficult to kill indeed, but we found a map from her, and we'll get that quest sorted. We also gained 2 more common loot dice, 4 gold, and I believe that's 5 XP. All right, so we got a total of 6 common loot dice now, 30 gold. We've got 1 mineral, 2 supplies, and we got ourselves 16 XP. The quest is found just south of Herstead, and it's an engaged quest to investigate Meadow Creek. So we'll place that one in the tray along with the Region Renowned quest we have, and we'll get this token placed where it should be. So we fast travel back. We can take a free rest action right now. So we discard all cards that we have. We don't currently have any in our hand right at the moment. We're going to discard ongoing adventures. We don't have any of those at the moment. We set our health to maximum. It's already there. We set our fatigue back to 0. We certainly need that to happen because the fatigue was getting out of control. We remove any status card effects out of our decks. If we happen to have any boons or burdens, things like that are removed, but wounds and stuff like that stay. We also are now going to move into rolling and resolving loot dice. I have a whole bunch to roll. We got a total of 6 of these. Let's go ahead and make a giant roll and see what we get across all this. It should really bring back quite a bit, hopefully. That's going to allow us to gain 4 more gold and 4 common items. And check this out, we got ourselves our second jewel fragment, which is awesome. We got a simple dagger tied to shadow skill. We got the aged chainmail tied to resilience, and tattered robes tied to ward weaving. We also have 16 XP, so we can certainly level up. It costs 11 to go to level 3. So we drop from 16 XP to 5 in order to go to level 3, and as you can see, for the very first time, we get to up one of our attributes. So the max health of our character is going to 7. Now looking through my Guardian's cards here, I've got 1 CP to spend, but I could absolutely save it up and not spend it right now. I could take a dash at the moment for 1. I could take a martial prowess for 1, but the 2 start looking interesting. Biding time here. You get to draw 2 and discard this card. That would have been huge and handy during the last battle. Delayed action looks really cool as it responds when you or an ally are attacked by an enemy adjacent to you. Block 4 damage and then deal 4 damage back to that enemy. That is crazy. I would love to have a card like that. And you can see they just get more and more powerful with the more CP you put behind them. It gets your deck even more exciting in terms of what it can do in the future. And of course, this is really just the CP side of the equation, not even talking about the skill point side of the equation that will continue to increase. There's a ton of deck building inside of Threshold, which makes character building so much fun. It's also worth mentioning outside this video, there's other things you can run to, like Threshold dungeons, for example. You'll see an example of one down here in the bottom right-hand corner. And there's other areas of the board where you can interact with things that we didn't during this video. If you're looking for more minerals and supplies, instead of buying them inside of landmarks, you can actually head to specific areas on the map in order to try and take on a challenge to obtain them. At the back of every region book will be a breakdown of the different types of challenges you can take by finding certain illustrations in the region you're inside of. You'll see those illustrations strewn about in different locations. Besides the landmarks, challenges, and quests you can find, there's also encampments. You also have mobs moving throughout the land that you can randomly encounter and generate those combat encounters to try to pull things off of those mobs. There's all kinds of things to dig into, and the Threshold dungeons will be even more intriguing. If you want to see the actual board for the Threshold dungeon, you'll see it in my prototype unboxing. It is about 2 to 3 times the size of what you saw from the combat board. And that, my friends, wraps up my gameplay for Threshold from OpenOwl Studios, landing on GameFound today. When this video lands, it'll either have already launched or it will be launching very soon. You'll find the campaign page link in the pinned comment and video description. If you enjoyed the video and also the entire series for Threshold, let me know by leaving a like across them, and also leave a comment down below about what you enjoyed, about what you've seen, maybe things you'd see change, maybe feedback around the gameplay. Anything and everything is welcome. Also, if you haven't checked out our Discord channel, which is specific to solo gaming, and the Facebook group, we'd love to have you in either or both of those locations. And even better, if you wish to support the channel, be sure to become a member of the channel. You'll find the join button right on the home page. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.